The unexpected arrival. Commander Marcus Reed floated through the main corridor of Remote Station Omega-9, reviewing the daily reports on his datapad. The Deep Space Research Facility hummed quietly around him, a solitary beacon at the frontier of explored space. For 2 years he had managed this outpost with only a handful of scientists, studying cosmic radiation patterns and conducting zero-gravity experiments. It was quiet, predictable work, exactly what he needed after everything that went wrong on his last assignment. "Commander, I'm picking up 3 unidentified vessels approaching at unusual speed." The voice of Dr. Chen crackled through his communicator. The station's chief science officer sounded confused. "Their design doesn't match anything in our database. They're not responding to our standard hails, but they don't appear hostile either. They're heading straight for Docking Bay 2. Marcus felt his heartbeat quicken as he pushed off toward the control center. "Get Engineer Torres to monitor all systems. Keep trying to establish communication." His mind raced through possibilities. Refugees, pirates, or something else entirely. In all his years of service, he'd never encountered a situation quite like this. Before he could reach the command deck, the entire station trembled slightly. The ships had docked without waiting for clearance. Marcus changed direction and propelled himself toward the docking bay, his hand instinctively moving to the emergency comm on his belt. The airlock doors slid open with a hiss of equalizing pressure, and Marcus stopped himself against a wall grip, staring at the scene before him. 3 women emerged from sleek silver vessels, their presence immediately commanding attention in a way he couldn't quite explain. They moved with confidence and grace despite the unfamiliar environment. The woman in front wore armor that shimmered with deep purples and silvers, reflecting the harsh station lights. Her skin was a striking shade of purple, smooth and luminous, with silver markings tracing elegant patterns along her arms and neck. Her hair was impossibly white, with streaks of violet cascading down her back. Her eyes, sharp and intelligent, fixed on Marcus with an intensity that made him catch his breath. "I am Princess Zada of the Royal House of Veltoria," she announced, her voice carrying an accent that reminded him of distant thunder. "This station is now under our protection." The woman to her left was shorter, with deep crimson hair pulled into an intricate braid. A playful smile curved her lips as she added, "Don't look so shocked, Commander. We read your name off your uniform badge. Marcus Reed. Strong name for a station commander." This was Princess Kira, and she had the same purple-toned skin as her sister, though her markings were gold instead of silver. The third princess, Sarah, stepped forward with movements that seemed almost dance-like, even in the awkward artificial gravity. Her skin was a lighter shade of purple, almost lavender, and her hair was pale gold. Her amber eyes held warmth as she spoke. "Forgive our sudden intrusion, Commander. We require sanctuary, and your station appeared suitable for our needs." Marcus found his voice, though it came out rougher than intended. "You can't just commandeer a Federation research station. I have protocols to follow, regulations." "Protocols?" Sada moved closer, and Marcus caught a scent like exotic spices and electrical storms. "Commander, we are being pursued by forces that would see us married off to political allies we have never chosen. We have decided to claim our own freedom instead. Will you truly deny us that basic right?" Her hand brushed his arm, and despite every regulation scrolling through his mind, Marcus felt something fundamental shift inside him. These weren't ordinary refugees seeking shelter. They were warriors, leaders, royalty. And something about Zara's fierce determination resonated with something buried deep in his own heart. "How long would you need sanctuary?" he managed to ask. "Until we can negotiate new terms with our people," Sarah said softly. "Perhaps a week, maybe 2 at most." Marcus looked at each of them in turn. Sarah's commanding presence that both challenged and intrigued him. Kira's dangerous playfulness that promised chaos. Sarah's quiet strength that seemed to anchor her sisters. His quiet and orderly life had just been thoroughly disrupted in ways he couldn't yet comprehend. "Docking Bay 2 is yours for now," he said finally, making a decision that would change everything. "But while you're here, we follow station rules and regulations. No exceptions. Zara smiled, and it was an expression of both victory and promise. Of course, Commander. We will be very cooperative and obedient. The way she said those last words made Marcus absolutely certain that nothing about the coming days would be simple or predictable.
Growing connections. The first 4 days passed in a whirlwind of adjustments that transformed the atmosphere of Omega-9 completely. The princesses moved through the station as if they belonged there, bringing an energy that had been missing for years. Zara took immediate interest in the defense systems, spending long hours with Engineer Torres reviewing security protocols and suggesting improvements based on Veltharian technology. Kira charmed the entire science crew, turning the sterile cafeteria into something resembling an actual social gathering place with stories and laughter. Sarah discovered the hydroponics section and spent her time among the growing plants, bringing a peaceful presence that even the most stressed researchers found calming. Marcus tried to maintain professional distance, but found it increasingly impossible. Zara seemed to appear wherever he was, asking questions about Earth customs, about his role as commander, about the loneliness of deep space. Her intelligence was formidable and her curiosity genuine. He found himself looking forward to these encounters more than he wanted to admit. "You avoid me deliberately," Zara said one evening, materializing beside him in the observation deck. The massive viewport displayed a nebula in shades of emerald and sapphire, but Marcus found himself far more interested in her reflection in the transparent surface. "I'm managing a station that suddenly hosts fugitive royalty," he replied without turning around. "The situation is complicated." She moved closer until he could feel warmth radiating from her presence. "Everything worth pursuing is complicated, Commander." Her voice softened in a way that made his pulse quicken. "On Veltharia, I commanded entire fleets. I negotiated treaties between hostile systems. I sentenced criminals and pardoned heroes, but I was never allowed to choose my own path until now." Marcus finally turned to face her, and at this distance he could see flecks of silver in her violet eyes, could trace the elegant line of her jaw and the subtle patterns in her purple skin that seemed to shimmer faintly. "Why run from all that power and position?" he asked. "Because it wasn't freedom," Zara interrupted, her hand rising to rest against his chest, right over his heart. "Not the freedom to feel this, whatever this is between us." The moment stretched between them, charged with possibility and danger. Marcus knew he should step back, maintain proper boundaries, but her gaze held him captive. "Tell me about Earth," she whispered. "Tell me about the man who chooses isolation among the stars instead of living among his own people." So he did. They sat on the cold observation deck floor with their backs against the wall, and Marcus found himself sharing stories he had buried for years. The mission that went catastrophically wrong, the crew members he had lost because of decisions he made, the crushing guilt that drove him to volunteer for the furthest and loneliest posting available. Zara listened intently, her fingers eventually finding his, their hands intertwining as naturally as breathing. "You punish yourself for being human," she said quietly, "for making impossible choices in impossible situations that had no perfect solutions." "Don't you?" he countered. "Aren't you running from responsibility?" "I'm running towards something," she corrected, leaning her head against his shoulder in a gesture that felt both intimate and natural. "I just didn't know what that something was until I met you." They stayed like that for hours, talking and falling into comfortable silences, watching the nebula shift through its spectrum of colors. When Marcus finally walked her back to her quarters, she paused at the door. "Thank you for seeing me as more than just a princess with demands," she said. "Thank you for seeing me as more than a broken commander hiding from his past." She smiled, a genuine expression that transformed her entire face, and disappeared inside. Marcus stood in the corridor afterward with his heart pounding and every regulation he had ever memorized crumbling to dust. The next morning, Kira cornered him in the mess hall. "So, you and our fearless leader," she said, her crimson hair catching the light as she leaned against the table. "That's an interesting development, Commander." Marcus felt heat rise to his face. "I don't know what you're implying." "Please," Kira laughed. "I saw how you looked at her in the docking bay, like she was gravity itself and you were falling. Just be careful with her heart. She acts invincible, but she's risked absolutely everything for this chance at freedom." "I will," Marcus promised, surprised by the genuine concern beneath Kira's playful teasing. That evening, Sarah invited him to the hydroponics bay. She had created a small garden area filled with bioluminescent plants from Veltharia that cast everything in soft blue and purple light. "Zara cares for you deeply," Sarah said while tending to a flowering vine. "It frightens her, I think. She was trained her whole life to lead armies and govern systems, not to love someone." "And you?" Marcus asked, watching her gentle movements. "What do you want from this escape?" Sarah's amber eyes met his, and he saw ancient wisdom there, despite her youthful appearance. "I want my sisters to be happy," she said, "and perhaps I want to discover who I am beyond the role I was born into." She handed him a flower with petals that shimmered like opals. "These bloom once every year on Veltharia, but here, on your station, under different stars, they bloom constantly. Sometimes changing our environment changes what we're capable of becoming." Marcus understood the metaphor perfectly. Aurora Station Omega 9 was becoming something entirely new for all of them, a place where lonely people could find connection and caged birds could finally spread their wings.
Hearts collide. The fifth day brought a shift in the atmosphere that everyone on the station could feel. Marcus found himself constantly aware of where Zara was, what she was doing, whether she was thinking about him the way he couldn't stop thinking about her. The tension between them had become almost unbearable, a magnetic pull that neither could resist much longer. He found her alone in the observation deck late that evening, standing before the massive viewport with her arms crossed. The stars stretched endlessly before her, and she looked both powerful and vulnerable in that moment. "Can't sleep?" Marcus asked softly as he approached. "Too many thoughts," Zara replied without turning. "Too many feelings I wasn't prepared for." She paused, then added quietly, "Too many fears about what happens next." Marcus moved to stand beside her, close enough that their arms nearly touched. "I've been thinking about you constantly," he admitted. "About us, about what this means. I know it's reckless and complicated and probably breaks a dozen regulations." "Probably more than a dozen," Zara said with a slight smile. Finally, she turned to face him fully. "Marcus, I need you to understand something. On Veltharia, physical intimacy isn't casual. It's sacred. It's a bond that means everything. If we cross this line, there's no going back to what we were before." "I don't want to go back," Marcus said, reaching up to cup her face gently, his thumb tracing the silver markings on her purple skin. "Zara, I'm falling for you, completely and terrifyingly. I know we've only known each other for days, but it feels like something inevitable, like the universe brought you here for a reason." Her breath caught, and her violet eyes searched his face. "I feel it too. This pull toward you that I can't explain or resist. You make me want things I never allowed myself to want before." Marcus leaned in slowly, giving her every chance to pull away, but instead she met him halfway. Their first kiss was electric, a collision of pent-up tension and undeniable attraction. Zara's hands tangled in his hair as Marcus pulled her closer, and she tasted like starlight and promises and everything he hadn't known he was searching for. When they broke apart, both were breathing hard. Zara's usual composure had shattered completely. "My quarters. Now, please." Marcus nodded and took her hand. They navigated the corridors quickly, passing Dr. Chen, who wisely said nothing. Inside Zara's quarters, larger than his and decorated with artifacts from her homeworld, she turned to face him with an expression that mixed desire with nervousness. She said, "I need you to know," her voice trembling slightly. "This isn't something I've done often. Velthorian royalty are expected to save themselves for political marriages. I've broken so many rules already, but this one feels the most significant." "It's not casual for me either," Marcus assured her, stepping closer and pulling her into his arms. "Zara, you're extraordinary. Everything about you amazes me." She kissed him again, slower this time, savoring every sensation. They moved to her bed, and Marcus took his time exploring, treating her with reverence. His hands traced the curves of her body, memorizing every detail. The way her purple skin seemed to glow faintly in the dim light, the patterns of silver markings that decorated her shoulders and arms, the softness of her hair. Zara pulled him closer, her armor and clothing discarded, revealing a form that was both powerful and graceful.
Tell me this is real, she breathed as his lips traveled down her neck. Tell me I'm not dreaming this. It's the most real thing I've ever felt, Marcus promised against her skin. You're the most real thing that's happened to me in years. They made love with desperate tenderness, two lonely souls who had found unexpected sanctuary in each other. Zara was strong and vulnerable, commanding and yielding. Every touch felt like discovery. Every whispered word felt like truth. Marcus had never experienced anything so intense, so consuming, so absolutely right. Afterward, they lay tangled together, Zara's head resting on his chest as he traced lazy patterns on her bare shoulder. "What happens when your people find us?" she asked quietly, the question that had been hovering unspoken between them. "We face it together," Marcus said firmly, pressing a kiss to her forehead. "Whatever comes, whatever challenges we encounter, we face them together. I'm not letting you go." "Promise me," Zara whispered, tilting her head to look up at him. "Promise me that no matter what happens, you won't regret this, regret us." "I promise," Marcus said, and he meant it with every fiber of his being. "You're not something I could ever regret. You're the best thing that's happened to me." She smiled and kissed him again, soft and sweet. Outside the viewport, stars wheeled past in their eternal dance, indifferent to the revolution happening within these walls. But for Marcus and Zara, the universe had narrowed to this moment, this connection, this impossible love that refused to be denied. In the morning, Marcus woke with Zara still in his arms, her white and violet hair spread across his chest like silk. For a perfect moment, everything felt right, as if all the pieces of his life had finally fallen into place. He understood now why she had run, why freedom mattered more than power, because this feeling, this connection, was worth any risk. Zara stirred and opened her eyes. A genuine smile curved her lips. "Good morning," she murmured. "The best morning," Marcus replied. They stayed like that, wrapped in each other and in the fragile hope that somehow they could make this work, that love could triumph over duty and distance, and all the forces that would try to tear them apart.
Danger approaches. The peace shattered abruptly when Marcus's comm unit chirped with urgent priority. "Commander, we're detecting 3 Tharian battlecruisers entering the sector," Dr. Chen reported, tension clear in her voice. "Estimated arrival in 5 hours." Zara was instantly alert, her warrior instincts taking over. "They found us," she said, dressing quickly as her expression shifted from the vulnerable woman he'd held to the commanding princess. "We need to prepare immediately." Marcus contacted his crew while the 3 princesses gathered in the conference room. Engineer Torres initiated lockdown protocols, sealing airlocks and encrypting all communication channels. The peaceful research station transformed into something resembling a fortress. Kara paced the room restlessly. "We can't let them take us back," she said fiercely. "I won't return to that cage. I'd rather fight." "Fighting would endanger everyone here," Sarah said calmly, though worry showed in her amber eyes. "We must consider all options carefully." Marcus entered the conference room and all 3 princesses turned to him. "We have choices," he said. "We can hide you, we can try to negotiate, or we can prepare to defend your right to sanctuary." Zara stood and moved to him, taking his hand in front of her sisters. "What do you want to do, Marcus? This is your station, your career. We've already disrupted your life enough." "I want you to stay," Marcus said firmly. "All of you. You deserve freedom and happiness. We'll stand with you. My crew agrees. Dr. Chen and Torres both volunteered to testify on your behalf if needed." Kira's eyes widened. "You'd risk everything for us?" "You're not just refugees anymore," Marcus replied, looking at each of them. "You're friends, your family. And Zara," he squeezed her hand, "you're everything to me." Tears gathered in Zara's violet eyes. "Then we face them together," she said. "We tell them the truth, that we choose our own destinies." The hours passed in tense preparation. The crew rallied together, united in purpose.
When the Valtharian ships finally arrived, Marcus stood in the docking bay with Zara beside him, Kara and Sarah flanking them. Dr. Chin and Torres stood behind them in solidarity. The airlock opened and 5 Valtharian officials emerged, their expressions stern. The lead emissary, an older woman with deep purple skin and white hair, spoke. "Princess Zara, Princess Kira, Princess Sarah, you are commanded to return home immediately. Your families have arranged advantageous marriages." "No," Zara said clearly, her voice ringing with authority. "We refuse." The emissary's eyes narrowed. "You would abandon your duty, your people?" "We would choose our own paths," Zara replied. "We would live as free beings, not political pawns. This station and its commander have shown us what true respect and partnership look like." Marcus stepped forward. "The Federation recognizes the right to asylum. These women came here seeking freedom. I'm granting them sanctuary under my authority as station commander." The standoff hung in the balance, everything they'd built together depending on this moment. Standing together. The Valtharian emissaries studied them all with calculating eyes. "Commander Reed, you risk diplomatic incident for 3 women you barely know." "I know them well enough," Marcus said steadily. "I know they're brave, intelligent, and deserve the right to choose their own futures. That's not something anyone should have to justify." Sarah stepped forward, her voice gentle but firm. "Ambassador Thala, you taught me when I was young that true leadership means serving your people's well-being. How does forcing us into loveless marriages serve anyone but political ambition?" The ambassador's stern expression flickered slightly. "Your parents worry for your safety and future." "Then let them worry as parents, not as politicians," Kira added. "We're not running from responsibility, we're running toward authentic lives. Can you honestly say that's wrong?" The ambassador looked at the 3 princesses, then at Marcus and his crew standing united behind them. Something in her expression shifted. "You've found allies here," she observed. "We've found more than allies," Zara said, moving closer to Marcus and taking his hand openly. "We've found acceptance, friendship, and," she glanced at Marcus with unmistakable love, "we've found reasons to believe in a better future." The ambassador was silent for a long moment. Then, surprisingly, she smiled slightly. "I was forced into my own arranged marriage 40 years ago. It was dutiful but never happy. Perhaps it's time Valthoria reconsidered some traditions." Hope bloomed in the room like Sarah's flowers in hydroponics. "I cannot promise your parents will accept this easily," Ambassador Thala continued, "but I will return and advocate for your right to choose. I will propose new treaties that respect individual freedom while maintaining our alliances. It may take time." "We have time," Zara said. "We have patience, and we have each other." The ambassador nodded. "Then I will tell them you are safe, that you've found sanctuary worth keeping. Perhaps in 6 months, we can arrange proper negotiation." She looked at Marcus. "Commander Reed, you've made a powerful statement today. The Federation will hear of this." "I can live with that," Marcus replied. After the Valtharians departed, the station erupted in relieved celebration. Dr. Chin broke out contraband wine she'd been saving, Torres played music through the comm system, even the normally reserved scientists danced in the cafeteria. Marcus found Zara on the observation deck later that night. "We did it," she said softly. "We actually did it." "You did it," Marcus corrected, pulling her into his arms. "You were so brave, so strong." "We were strong together," Zara said, kissing him deeply. "Marcus, I love you. I know it's fast and maybe crazy, but I love you." "I love you too," Marcus whispered against her lips. "Stay with me, here, on this station, or anywhere else you want to go. Just stay." "Always," Zara promised. In the following weeks, Omega-9 transformed completely. Kira started training the crew in Valtharian combat techniques. Sarah expanded the hydroponics into a beautiful garden. Zara worked with Marcus to turn the station into a legitimate sanctuary for others seeking freedom. The station that had been Marcus's hiding place became a beacon of hope, and the commander who had punished himself with isolation found redemption in love. 6 months later, when Ambassador Thala returned, she brought not demands, but proposals. The princesses negotiated new terms with their families, maintaining their royal status while gaining complete autonomy. Valthoria began reforming its marriage traditions. Marcus and Zara stood together in the observation deck they'd claimed as their special place. "Ready for what comes next?" he asked. Zara smiled, her purple skin glowing softly in the starlight. "With you, I'm ready for anything." They kissed as stars wheeled overhead, two souls who'd found each other across the vastness of space. And remote station Omega 9, once the loneliest outpost in the galaxy, became home to the most extraordinary love story the frontier had ever known. The end.